All right.
Are you in the frame?
I don't know. I asked you to check on the phone.
Just move in, just in case. Just move in, because it'll be funny if it cuts half of you out. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another exciting episode of your favorite show, Something to Scream About.
Yay.
Yeah, we're excited to be here. We're slightly late from the start of the month, but it doesn't matter. We're trying to bring on a few more exciting guests to just share some more different perspectives and trying to broaden our input list, I guess, for the podcast. So we'll get into our guest in a second. Firstly, Cam, do you want to go through our only piece of exciting housekeeping that we've got coming up real soon?
We have a new song.
Woo! New song.
Infected. Which is the most latest name we've decided, which is now on all the promos, so that's what it's staying as.
Yes.
I believe it is next Friday, 22nd?
Yes, next Friday, 22nd of March. So it'll be dropping, I think, like midnight. So as soon as it ticks over, you're free to go and stream it.
I think this is actually the first song I've shown off the false chords as an upfront layer, because I've been able to do the false chords for like 2 years, but we never really included them. And
this is like the main hook is kind of
it's like very in your face.
False chord.
It's a cool song. It's definitely got that distorted views feel to it. Like you'll be able, as soon as the first riff comes in, you're like, oh yeah, this is a distorted views new metal song. So that's really cool. I'm excited to get another song out again. I'm back to being the main vocalist, so it's kind of like the first EP kind of style. And it's cool to be back and releasing music again, because we took a bit of a hiatus, as you would have known from the other potties, but yeah. Cool.
So very excited. Pre-save, we'll chuck in the show notes below, or wherever. So that would do an enormous help for us if you pre-save either on Spotify or Apple Music. You know the drill. It only takes a few seconds, and don't be lazy. A couple of clicks.
Help us, man. Just help us.
Help your boys out. So yeah, thank you. Go stream that. Today, we've got Dale Dudeson on. He's coming to chat to us about two of the local projects that he's in, Brisbane bands, Bad Party and Revoid, and we've sort of seen them before, and we're excited to get their perspective, just from other people working in the similar industry in the same place that we are, and trying to break through like we are and all of this. So it's really cool to see other perspectives and how they're writing the music, how they delegate between roles, and how they make their music and how they make it happen. So should we just jump straight in?
I reckon.
All right, nice and easy. Let's jump in with Dale.
Something to scream about!
All right, well, we may as well officially kick off. Welcome, everyone. This is Dale. Thank you for joining us, Dale. Dale is a member of both two bands that I've personally been following a little bit lately in the Brisbane scene. Revoid, who we're both a fan of, and then Bad Party as well, who I've been following for a bit. Dale, why don't you just give us maybe like a 30-minute intro wrap as to who you are and what roles you play in those bands and where you come from.
Yeah, sounds good. Thanks for having me on the show. As mentioned, I am the vocalist for both Revoid and Bad Party. Revoid originally, and then Bad Party underwent a bit of a member change mid last year. So I jumped on after a brief conversation with Daniel, the guitarist from the band, and now I'm here and doing the thing.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, cool. And in terms of like, let's say Revoid, because you said that was the first project that you mainly were in. Were you in that from conception? Is that like, are you a founding member? Awesome. And how long have you guys been going?
So we've had a few iterations. So originally we started back in 2016. And then upon like finding our feet with a producer and like getting the sound together, we revamped at the end of 2019. So I think that's where it all restarted. And
well, we saw you probably roughly 2021, maybe.
I was just so you know, like I was ridiculously impressed.
We were blown away by your set.
I was
and
like,
your voice.
what? Like, who are these guys? Like, literally, your vocals. You had a scream in there. You did, and you held the mic really far away, so I knew it was like a really loud scream or maybe a belted note, maybe. and I was like, whoa, because like most people cup the mic, in like
Hmm.
most people that aren't, as loud or confident maybe, and you just hit this note and you had the microphone like way out there, and like you were still just as loud, and I was like, whoa, like it was,
Yeah,
yeah, I
yeah.
think it was at Mansfield
Yeah,
Tavern.
it was Mansfield Tavern.
Yeah, bro.
I don't know what it was for. Maybe like Moondog Fest or something like
That
that.
would
I
have
don't know.
We
been
played
Void
Moondog.
Matters.
Oh, Void Matter show.
That would have been Void Matters show. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That was one of my
Yes.
favorite shows to date, honestly.
Yeah,
Excellent.
cool. No, so we were very impressed and like
Mm.
why don't you like if you could go through with us like maybe a little bit about your structure within that band as members, like who brings what to the table, and then like how do you guys go about both delegating roles and then to be able to kind of come up with music and playing shows and all of this? How does that work?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So like it's not like a hard rule, but we all have our very own skill sets in the band. Like I bring a lot of the creativity to the table. So if someone brings in a piece of music, I'll sit down with it and I'll revamp it. I'll imagine a whole song out of it and sort of create it. Same with videos, same with like concepts for art, these bits and pieces, the visual sort of stuff. So that's my area.
Sweet.
Also lyrics, vocals, all that sort of stuff. I fiddle with a lot of the song structures and a lot of the technical stuff. However, my technical ability is not as good at all. So like I can play guitar, but not to the degree that we have to. So that's Jack's job.
Right.
Now Jack also does a lot of the writing. We bounce off each other. We just pass the laptop back and forward. But his ability way transcends Krusty or myself. So he's the one that's working out all the riffs, working out all like little bits and pieces, the nuances of the songs. Then we get to Krusty. So Krusty is our rhythm backbone. Now he is also our gatekeeper for ideas and bullies us when we get too out of hand because we need it. Yeah,
Oh, that's good.
I like that
he's
idea.
he's definitely got less technical ability, but he makes up for it in all the other areas that he's great at. Because he handles all our social media, he handles most of our correspondence and information gathering because he's got this weird skill set where if you ask him the lore of any band in the scene that's ever been or ever will be, he just knows.
Wow.
He knows who's about to get an allegation,
Yeah, he's
who's
onto
about to
it.
fuck around and
Ear
find
to the
out. So
ground.
yeah, he's so good with it. And we're like, hey, who was this band that played this obscure set in 2018? And he's like, oh, I know exactly who that is. I'm like,
Sick.
why? Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah.
And then yeah, so Daniel, who recently joined the band because we swapped out our drummers.
Mhm.
Nick's doing the family thing, all the best to him kind of
Yeah,
thing. So
cool. Awesome.
so yeah, Daniel from Bad Party. The bands are getting incestuous now.
Yes.
He joined in and yeah, took over the drums. And his technical ability is second to none with drumming. So we're really
Awesome.
happy to have another person on board to give these songs to and be like, all right, now make chops and do all the crazy stuff with it. So yeah,
Yeah, brilliant. So it sounds like you have a bit of a combo of kind of just like, passing from initial conception backwards and forwards and then having it go through a series of checks from other members and being
exactly.
refined and stuff like that. So sounds like you
Mhm.
all got your roles sorted. Like something that, like we have three very creative minded composing minded and producer minded people in the band. So it's often like, there's 10 gazillion ideas, but like the actual maybe finicky part of getting through to the final part, we'd rather just write a new idea. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
kind of
exactly. Yeah.
like, we're sort of in like maybe a few members like that, but it helps to kind of have a balance, I suppose, to get things done and over the line. But is that
Definitely. Yeah.
so in terms of one thing you said before about like you had rhythm guitar and then I was trying to kind of work out because I remember seeing drums, vocals, and two guitars on
You're a
stage or
three
three.
piece when we watched
Yeah,
them, weren't you?
you were a three piece back then. So I was like trying to figure out how many members are in there
What,
now and
three
who's
piece or
playing
we
what. No,
tripping?
I'm pretty sure you
Were
were.
you a three piece? Have you ever been a three piece in Revoid?
We had four. We had four at Mansfield. We had Krusty and
Oh,
Jack doing guitars, but we
maybe it
used to
was.
have a bass player, but then he's also doing the family thing as well. So no bass
That's all
player
good.
anymore.
I
Yeah,
swear, I
that's all good.
remember. I remember at one stage must have been
Maybe
other
we're
band.
yeah, maybe we're tripping. So what do you do with bass now? Are you putting it in tracks?
Backing tracks, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, we're doing that too. I mean, it's a pretty common thing now. Sadly, bass players are either scarce or they're just not needed as much.
Exactly. Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
got I've toyed with the idea of playing bass live, but I like the freedom of when you're doing vocals. You can like when I have a guitar in my hands, I tend to be a bit more stationary and not as I don't move around as
Mm.
much, and you have that freedom when you're just on vocals. So, but yeah,
We
you know,
always we kind of have the same opinion, except for the fact that our guitarists are like just hanging for a song where they can play bass because some of our guitar work is really finicky. You really got to stay stationary with it and do the this
Yeah,
thing. But with bass, it's a lot like it's
you can get
it's so
into it more.
low. Yeah, you can get away with a little bit of flubbing it here and there, but you can bring the energy to the table, and that's kind of what we're aiming for with our live
yeah,
shows more than anything.
Yeah,
yeah.
cool.
I
So,
love the bass though because you
sorry.
feel it. You feel the bass. You know,
Yeah,
you
exactly,
hear the
exactly, and
technicality.
everyone feels it.
That's right. Yeah, because like I love playing bass. I think most guitarists have like a love for playing bass because it's kind of
It's a
feels
guilty
different.
pleasure. It's like, oh,
Yeah,
I
it's
want to
like
play guitar, but the bass is just staring at you from the
it's your
background, like,
dirty little secret. Like we all like playing bass.
mhm.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
fucking
go on, bro.
awesome.
What you saying?
I was just gonna say, like, before, I guess, we can transfer into a bit of like your work with Bad Party, but maybe go through what's different about Bad Party for you, in terms of a project, and why did you consider joining a second project, and why Bad Party?
These are excellent questions. This is like the formulation of great ideas. So like how it originally happened is that Monica from Last Martyr, she reached out on her socials and she was like, "Hey, I've just had vocalists step down from a band in Brisbane, Sydney, and Melbourne." And I just messaged her. I'm like, "Hey, who's the Brisbane band?" Just out of curiosity, because I was like, "Is it anyone I know? Is it anyone like just sort of getting the goss kind of thing?" And then suddenly I was in a group chat with Daniel, who was in Bad Party, and we were like, "Oh, hi." And then Monica just gapped and left, and we're like, "So,
Yeah.
what's going on, man?" And it was just like
Like
real, yeah,
wingman.
real, exactly, real strange of an interaction, but like we got on pretty well. Like Daniel and I are really close as like human beings. We're kind of like the same person, share the same brain cell kind of thing. So
Awesome.
it's yeah, it was really great to like get in personally because we're joining another band. You never know if the people are going to be like you or like into hard drugs or just like
Yeah,
anything. Like it could
Fully.
be any kind of person. And then they all just were really normal dudes with really normal, like no weird age gaps. I think we're just like a year or so apart. So I'm like on not knowing who this band was, and then suddenly being very involved with them is a very, very strange thing. But like with the differences between Revoid. So I'm a lot more hands-on with Revoid because it's the way I guess we envision the band. We all work as a team. We've worked as a team for years.
Hmm.
Bad Party. I'm obviously late to the party. Ha ha ha. But yeah, they've all known each other for years. So those guys have known each other. We get along famously, but there's always going to be that history there. Um, Nissy, so Alex, we call him Nissy, Daniel and Cam, they were all friends beforehand. Cam does all their social media stuff. So that's all the division there.
Yeah.
Daniel and Nissy, they do all the guitar work because they're just guitar freaks. They're crazy with it. But because we're just swimming in autism in this band, it's wonderful. They just sort of fixate on the music and just keep pumping out things over and over. So I'm sort of playing catch up with Daniel and sort of pumping the brakes. And I'm like, okay, this is a great idea. Let's relax for a minute. Let's work on this idea together.
Yeah.
And
Jordan's
he's
got to
he's
do
finding that he's exactly, yeah, and he's slowing down. He's taking a bit more time to flesh out songs, and they're becoming better ideas. So while I'm not as heavily involved as like in the inception of songs, I I'm way more involved in the refining process. And like I go over there at least once a week. We work on like 2 or 3 songs together, package them down, and make them nice demos to present to people and be like, hey, how's this song going? Do you like this
Yeah.
song? Let's record this song soon. So yeah, it works.
That's really cool because then you can also, like, between you and Daniel, obviously now having hands in both pies, you can kind of like
Mhm.
be sort of creative and then kind of go, hey, this might actually fit Revoid, or this might fit Bad Party. It's
Exactly,
like we
exactly. And
can sort
that
of,
that comes up so much.
yeah, true. Do you find that it's hard to balance working between time on both, or do you sort of like find that very easy to just go, I'm working on Revoid for a while. Okay, I've done that. Now I just want to break and go something different, or is it a kind of
Kind
uphill
of. It's
battle?
it's good because the bands have such a distinction between each other. So like the way I treat it is like Revoid is you're angry, you're sad, you're depressed, you're darker sort of stuff. And I'm like,
Yeah.
cool, that's my bread and butter every day of the week. Bad Party is like my fun project. So it's if Revoid's everything I am, Bad Party is everything one would want to be. Like it's cool, it's sexy, it's fun, it's a good time. It's made to be fun music. So that's kind of like the vision. So I can have a bit of both worlds and I can express something that I don't really get the chance to express in another band. And yeah, it's a good balance. I always worry that I'm going to run out of lyrics. And then I'm like,
Yeah.
hey, what's a good concept for this song? Just what are you feeling when you write this? And they're like, oh, we want a song about doing sex and all or like fighting someone. And I'm like, let's do it. Let's go to town on it.
Yeah. Gives you more like subject matter and stuff, eh? Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. And you never know until you get there, and then the ideas just start pouring out. And I'm like, cool. What's the reference? Who's your inspiration for this song? If it be like, Bad Omens, Bring the Horizon, naming some big names. I'm like, cool, cool, cool. I see what you're going for, and then just sort of piece it together as we go along. Yeah.
Nice. Very, very cool. Yeah. So you guys just put out, well, Bad Party just put out a recent song. It got bit of Triple J airage as well. I really liked it. I thought it was a really good song. And I encourage everyone to go check it out. Maybe we can link it on, maybe we'll work on our technology to link it for you.
Please, please
Yeah,
do. Yeah, I don't know how to do it. I can't help.
that's all right. That's so you've been on vocals since what was the first record that you were on when you joined?
It would have been Prey. So
Yeah,
everything
okay.
else, we've done a few shows together, but that was just, me stepping into songs that were already written.
Yeah.
But yeah, as soon as we linked up, we started writing new tracks. So Prey is the first of a few that are coming out.
Cool.
We got a,
Awesome.
we got a
Yeah.
few coming out. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I really dig it. Well, actually, you just touched on something that I did really want to talk about, and that is having to come in and fill somebody else's shoes as a vocalist, like someone that's been there before. Now, that's a really difficult job, both to take on songs that they've done and recorded and had their own maybe lyrics that they wrote, their own passionate stories, and all of this kind of stuff. Like, how was that transition for you coming in?
It was honestly quite tricky to start with. Henry, the previous vocalist, he, um, you know, a, like ability aside, he had his very own like preference in the way he would deliver songs and like the intonation of things, the rhythm of each delivery. So it was a lot to, even as much as I practice on my own before joining in for an actual practice session at the practice room. I was like, this is actually really funky. Like it's way different from what I'm used to. And yeah, it was actually a lot to get used to. And then joining Bad Party, they have this whole different technology set up. So on top of getting used to these new songs with these different abilities, I have to just learn how to hear nothing in my ears because they've got this very fancy in-ear rig that I'm not used to. And I was like, damn, I'm playing on hard mode. But we got it together. And now the boys are like, man, you're so good at these songs, but we just want to do the reinvention and get new songs out with you on it. I'm like, cool, cool, cool. Whatever you want to do, let's do it.
Yeah, well, that's awesome that you can still step in and do that because that is hard to pull off. And like, I followed well, Henry and Cam a little bit on socials
Mm-hmm.
and their work in the dance music world. And
Yes.
like, yeah, so it was kind of like I saw the band come out of that from just being, friends with them on Facebook and that and seeing
Mm.
them. And it was cool to kind of see the whole thing come together. And then like obviously then seeing that you joined, I was like, oh, that's kind of like it's a different vocal style to Henry. So I was like, oh, cool, how's this gonna work? But you obviously are doing it heaps of justice. And then, as you say, it's a new chapter when you're coming in and you can bring your own thing to the table, and make new stuff. So awesome.
Were you guys the
And I
same
think that's what the
register?
boys were sort of looking for. No, I think he's a little bit lower of a voice to mine, but I've got a lot
Mm.
of flexibility in what I can do. So I can hit some higher notes that, I go falsetto a lot with a lot of things that I do. And the next song that's coming out, spoilers, is a lot of that. So it's a lot
Okay,
of
a lot of
flex on the
falsetto.
vocal range. Whereas Bad Party, the original song Pray that we got together was all like very sort of gruff vocals. Like aside from screaming, it was like very distorted singing kind of thing. So this one's a lot more pure,
Are
a
you a
lot more
baritone?
pretty coming. Excellent question. Yes, probably.
I feel like from your speaking voice, you would be probably a baritone.
Yeah.
I reckon.
Depends on what time of the day it is and how long ago I've woken up.
Yeah, very
Because
true.
in
I
the
think
morning I'll
everyone's a
be like,
baritone in the morning.
show me like you hate me when you love me low key. Like, and then
Yeah.
every
That's
other day I'll be like,
awesome.
yeah, fucking normal.
Yeah, yeah, true. Because I feel like that would be hard stepping into, that's something we had to learn with distorted views when we started going, okay, let's try and make some more singing and let's practice that kind of things. Let's write some more
Mm-hmm.
choruses. Um, we hadn't even, me being the vocalist and me like not really being a singer, like trained. I was like, oh, let's give it a crack. We were writing songs that were like way above my vocal register, and I was like trying to sing way up there, and I pushed obviously to over compression or over projection, and trying to belt to like really hold the note. So that was something we had to figure out. Like, okay, this is where Cam's voice sits. So like picking tuning, guitar tunings and stuff that fit within what I can do. So that's why I
Mm-hmm.
thought that'd be interesting for you joining another band that may be in a completely different register and trying to like match what the previous vocalist did, but also bring in your own unique creativity and the way that you deliver it as well.
Yeah, definitely. Bad Party was good because we're all relatively in the same tuning. Like it's all low, them low notes getting in there. But then I guess it's the style of music. Like it's a lot faster. It's a lot more involved. And the way like Daniel and Nissi and even Cam, they would like these songs to come out. Like it's almost some of the songs we're working on are almost like rapping. Not to that degree, but like that fast of a delivery kind of thing. And that's the kind of energy they want to portray. That's what they want to give off as Bad Party. So I'm like, cool, this is different. Singing wise, like Daniel's really encouraging when it comes to that. So as much as what Bad Party was, they're like, we like that. We want more of that, but also more of this. I'm like, you just want more, you greedy bastard. So um yeah, it's just basically working in whatever I can with their influences, with their references. And I'm like, cool, let's give it a shot. Let's see what we can do. If you hate it, we can scrap it, we can start again.
Yeah, definitely. No, that's it's interesting to hear all of this, bro. It's like it's really cool to kind of check. I think maybe a bad party distorted views collab would be a really interesting idea.
Mm.
I
Oh
think
yeah,
it's like
that'd be sick.
it's definitely along like a bad party more so than Revoid. I suppose does work well. I just got my
Yeah, I
me
think your music
thinking
would
there.
suit the vibe a little bit better. Yeah.
Well, it's
Yeah,
the EDM and synth stuff that you do could combine really well as well.
yeah, and you guys do a bit of that too, don't you? The
Yeah, that's the
synth.
main focus in Bad Party, I think, is like balancing like like synth and almost hard bass in the new song that we've got coming up with, some distortion, some actual band stuff. So like keep the musicians involved, but also here's a
Yeah.
DJ.
That's
Yeah.
literally where we do the exact same thing in our, especially in our newer
Mhm.
music, which we will be releasing in 2024. Just
Sick.
yeah, like that EDM stuff, like bringing Jordan in with the synths and production, and just touching back
Mm.
on something you said before. I thought was really cool to just for our audience is kind of like you kind of said it without saying it. Like everyone kind of sticks in their lane a little bit, and I feel like that's where us as the sort of views may have actually gone wrong is that having we have three members and all three are music producers and mixing engineers and we all come from different backgrounds of genres and stuff, so we're thinking when we first had the band like, oh, three producers, we're going to be doing this and that, we can all like mix and master and produce, and it just ended up turning into
Mhm.
too many cooks in the kitchen and just way too many directions. And then obviously I have ADHD and so does Brody, the other guitarist and producer. So me and him are like,
Yep, yep, yep.
like on this, and Jordan's like, oh my God,
Yeah.
calm down, you two spastics. Like, so
Yep.
just feel like we can relate to that a little bit. And that's something
That
we've
is
learned.
that's Bad Party up and down. Me muting the group chat at least once a day because they're just like,
That's the because yeah, so like yeah, we've learned to slow the f down and
"Mm,
I think Jordan's good at just being like, hey guys, just this is a really good track, let's get it done before we move on to the other 10 that you've done in the last 10 minutes.
Yes.
So
Yep.
yeah, that's
Yep.
just
And you got it, because otherwise the ideas just get swept aside and you're like, this is the new most fantastic thing for about 10 minutes. And then there's
yeah,
the new most fantastic thing. Yep. And you
yeah,
just keep going. Yep.
absolutely.
Yeah, definitely, bro.
Mm.
So, talk to me a little bit about your kind of uh lyric writing and songwriting process. I just want to like an interesting observation I was thinking of before is like Cam said something about we write our music first a lot of the time, and we write it comes from a
Mhm.
riff, it comes from the instrumental most of the time solid first before like we've even really thought about lyrics. And
Mm.
like that's comes from all three of us. Like now, when I'm doing stuff outside, like if I'm writing a bit more poppy stuff, usually it will start with vocals and a piano or vocals and a guitar or something that just is like basic chords and a melody. So
Mhm.
then the instrumental gets built around that. I'm just curious as to whether you're thinking, okay, I've got a song that kind of works acoustically or works with some basic chords, and then the rest of the guys will fill it out around that, or are you just writing on top of instrumentals all the time?
It used to be the case where I would come up with a lot of like acoustic melodies because I just spend my life wrapped around an acoustic
Yeah.
guitar while I'm working, while I'm doing whatever. So that's how a lot of the concepts, a lot of the songs, a lot of the emotional feeling came out of it. But recently, Revoid, we're kind of blessed in that we can start a song with anything. So, like, whether it's me writing a single line as I'm going about my day, just thinking of a song concept or a visual concept, or even like a full song, I'll come up with lyrics and I'll just be like, here's what I've got. Let's write some music to it. Or Jack will bless us with a fully complete song, production and all. And I'll be like, you're mad, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And we'll just, yeah, nice and easy, phone it in, get the lyrics done, make it make sense, and it's wonderful. Sometimes it's not as easy, but yeah, the way the I guess the dispersal of talent in our band is really good for how we can just bounce off each other. So like a lot of the time lately, with the focus on our live shows and what we want to present to an audience. That's our focus. So every time we're like, hey, I want to write a song that makes people do this when we're playing a show or fits into the set like this. And we'll just sort of build a song like that, pull some references about songs that we think are in the realm and be like, yep, cool. This makes me feel like this. This is why it does that. And then sort of build it. It gets a bit mechanical sometimes, but honestly, even if you can just get a mechanical idea out there, then you can start smashing it, taking it apart, putting it back together, like Frankensteining it. But at least there's something that you're a bit more happy with, or you've got more option to it. So
Yeah,
yeah.
because you can definitely like say for example, in the dance music world, we just have like a thing where you can either write for like the club or for the festival, or you
Mm.
can write for the like for the
Yeah.
radio. So it's kind of like
Yeah.
it's similar in this genre as well because it's kind of a harder genre. You can think about something that will work really well live and generate a lot of anticipation and all of this, but not
Mhm.
necessarily in like the radio world will that work. So usually the lyrics
Exactly.
might come
Exactly.
after the instrumental in the more entertaining of cases. Um, one thing also that I like that I wanted to see if you work with as well is like a technique with writing lyrics, and it's like I'll put this to you, Cam, as well, because I haven't spoken about this probably yet, but when I'm trying to come up with like melodies or lyric ideas and things like this, a lot of the time I'll play the instrumental either, front to back or looping a section, and I'll kind of like scat out or hum out, sing out some random gibberish words that kind of what I think will fit. I'm kind of improvising over the top. And then might take that layer and there might be like, one or two bits of gold where I kind of just did something that sounds really good in that section. And then they could be my like placeholders. And there might be a couple of those over the whole track. And then I'm sort of trying to piece together what the story might be between those elements because certain things really just work really well, even if it's not said in the right
Mm.
lyrics or it's just the way you did it that came out that way that kind of works really well in that spot. So I just want to see if you relate to that and whether there's any sort of
Oh, 100%.
method to your
That's
songwriting. with that.
Yeah, no, that's crazy. That's pretty much the same process we go through. Like it's again with such variance involved, it's hard to be consistent about it. But yeah, that's kind of exactly the process we go through. So if there's something like choruses, particularly that are very like melody centric, I'll just sit there. I'll just sit there with it on repeat, and I'll be like, all right, what do I want to do in this? How do I want to convey it? What's the energy live? And then just figure out a melody because melodies are the bane of my existence. I can write lyrics, I can write rhythm, but as far as like a melody, like a hook, a catchy thing that's going to get stuck in your brain, that's something I've had to really grind on, really work on to get myself to a standard where I can just pump out something and be like, okay, this is a good idea, instead of just like, this isn't, this is an idea. Please help everybody,
Yeah.
please.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so it's exactly like that's the process we go through, and I just sort of get a bit mechanical with it and sort of thumb it out as we go along. I'm like, cool, I like these notes, but I don't like this rhythm, this intonation to it. So let's fix that. Let's go back and work on that. And it's really given us a lot to work with and a lot to enhance our songs going forward. So I think with all the works like from Bad Party and Revoid alike, it's gonna reflect that I'm a lot more confident with my ability and what I'm actually doing in making choices. So
Yeah.
yeah, hopefully everyone else feels the same and likes it.
Yeah, for sure, bro. Yeah, because it's like, it's a lot of pressure to sit down and kind of write the next big hit and like come up with all of these like really hooky things. And like, I kind of more see it in terms of like you're just putting yourself in that opportunity to have something from the, creation gods come through you at the right time. You just need to be there, receptive to it and ready. And then when the song comes through you and it writes itself, then you're ready and it's out there on paper. So it's kind of like,
Exactly. Whether it's 3 in the morning and I'm just rolling over to my notes half blind, just like
yeah,
penciling something in violently, or I'm on a plane. I have this thing where every time I'm on a plane, either to or from a destination, I just write a whole song.
wow,
I don't know
awesome.
why. It just happens. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
like, I just need to take flights more. It'll work itself
inspired.
out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
it's that discipline of sitting down and just keep writing and having stuff come
Mm,
out. It eventually organically turns into something. The song comes out how it wants to come out, and
yeah.
we're having that experience right now. Is like we had a song that kind of we thought was a dead end, and like it's come out as something else once it's just gone through a few different iterations in life, and that's really cool to see them become something or whatever it is.
It was nearly
Yeah.
scrapped. Like it was nearly scrapped because I it was just really repetitive and um it kind of just needed that emotion, I think. And I used the emotion of frustration
Mhm.
of not being able to finish it to actually finish it.
That's
Funny
awesome.
enough. I like the
Yeah, no,
comment.
100% agree. That's a lot of the bad party stuff at the moment too. So like with their ADHD brains, they're just swimming in songs, and I come in, I'm like trying to breathe new life into these things and bring my conviction about how good a song can be. And I'm like, hey, what if you did it like this? And they're like,
Oh
oh,
yeah, and it kind of
yes, let's do
re-sparks
that.
it. Yeah.
Big neuron activation. Yeah, yeah.
I like the idea of, what Jordan said, songs kind of writing themselves because I feel like the way
Mm,
that I write is I just let the song write itself. I let the
yep,
emotion that's within me in that moment, whether I've just got home from gym and I got dopamines going, I'm pumped, I feel really good, cool, I'm gonna write like a sick riff and heavy, just like in your face, or I might be angry, I might be annoyed, tired from work, sleepy, whatever it may be, and then I'll usually write the instrumental first, because I'll write a placeholder for drums because I know that Jordan does the drums, so I just write any kind of just
yep,
basic MIDI drum beat that I can follow along. um, Let the emotion take place instrumentally, and then that way I can connect lyrically to the instrumental because the instrumental, the chords, the scales, the counter melodies, the way that the instrumentals, it's almost like the music is telling me what to say. It's like, hey, here's the sonic
yes.
audio. Now, how do you feel
Yep.
about it? And then the lyrics will just come out.
Don't you
And
love it when it works out? It's
oh,
so amazing.
it's
It's the
so
best
good.
Yeah.
feeling.
And it just writes
Yeah.
itself. And it's like, oh, how'd you write this? I'm like,
Mhm.
I don't feel like I wrote anything. I feel like it just came out. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not thinking this is a
I
C
sat down for
minor.
half an hour and it just fell out of me.
Literally, that's why you find that people that overstudy music and
Mhm.
overcomplicate things and think of the scales and how the relationship of this and that, and you're like, they write very like it sounds like AI generated music sometime, and you're like
Yeah.
it's correct and it sounds like music, but it doesn't elicit a response, an emotional response. And then you have these other bands that write really basic stuff, but you feel an emotion when you listen to it. And I feel like that's very
Yeah,
important.
and that's the stuff that stays in your head. It's like I feel bad sometimes because I can't contribute as technically as I would like to, but then I also like being just a little bit dumb in some areas because it keeps me on
Simplicity
a
pays
level
off.
where I can like exactly. And I'm like, if I can keep it simple, I can keep it fun. I can stop obsessing over like, oh, this riff needs to be better. This we need more 16th notes in there. We need more Mixolydian scales. I'm like, no. I don't even know what key this song is. Let's just make it slap. All right, let's do this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it, bro. Well, I think that's a really neat place to wrap up with that kind of piece of advice. But yeah, I want to thank you again for coming on and taking the time to chat to us and share your experiences. I think everybody should go and check out both bands that you're in, and
Watch them live, guys. Tell them
yeah,
that.
go
I'm
and
not
check
just
out the
saying
live
that
show.
because you're on the potty. We actually saw you live. And I'm
Yeah,
like, dude.
you're on the potty
Honestly,
because
stay
of how
tuned
you
for
were
May
live, but
because it is a busy month for both bands in May. So
Let's
stay
awesome.
tuned for
go.
some things.
Yes,
Yeah.
brilliant. Love a bit of excitement. Wicked. So, yeah, thanks again, bro, and hopefully we'll have you on again soon in the future.
Thank you guys for having me on. Appreciate you. Have a great rest of the day.
Cheers, bro.
Something to scream about.
And that was Dale, everybody. Thank you, Dale, for jumping on. Again, yeah, like wicked to see some insights, and I probably could have chatted to him again. So we'll try and maybe get him on in the future. He said there's a lot popping in May.
Yeah, maybe towards the end of the year, get him on again because there was a few more things that maybe we'll have to start paying for the longer
Yeah.
Zoom meetings, so they don't cut us off early. But yeah, just like label stuff and releasing music and that sort of things. I would like to know and how
Yeah.
how does the creativity change with when you're not to a label, because we're working with labels and starting to work with labels now, and we're dealing with a bit of that, a bit of like change. Can we talk about this? Before I do, screw it, I'm talking about it. I don't care. Drum samples need to change, and you're like,
true.
oh, but I'm using these drum samples because this is my kit. And oh, we
Yeah.
want it to be more, like they have control. Guitar tone, like an
Yes,
amped up.
they
No,
can.
guitar tones. We want a different guitar tone, and you're like, oh, okay. Like there's a lot of that. They have a lot of the input into your music, and it's very different to go from you being in control of everything to dropping whatever you want to now you have to listen to the input of them.
Yes, and he mentioned that about how initially they were struggling working with a producer to find their initial sound with Revoid, and that kind of pricked my ears up because I was kind of like, oh yeah, so like maybe we can talk about the struggles of trying to find a way of bringing the music together, because some people can't do the
when you don't
production
produce
side.
yourself, and you it's not as much. There's a mixing engineer and there's a producer. They're two different roles, so that's kind of another thing as well. So there's heaps to chat about. So definitely another episode would be awesome in the future. But yeah, that was really cool. Really cool.
Yeah, and it certainly, I guess, helps to hear just like the similarities that we go through.
We're all human, and we're all
Yeah.
like even the biggest bands in the world will tell you the exact same struggles and the same things they had to deal with, and the same kind of juggling of personalities. And even when he touched on joining a new band, and they've been there for years and they've got this bond, and you're like the new guy, and you're kind of like, am I gonna fit in with these guys? Is the personalities gonna be okay? Like that's such an important part of being in a band because you're around each other so much.
Yeah, definitely.
So, yeah.
Definitely. No, really cool episode. So thank you guys for watching and listening. Do us a favor and go and share it around if you can. Drop a review. And, of course, pre-save Infected March 22nd. I'm struggling here with this. This is all right. We may as well just say goodbye and cut our losses. Goodbye, everybody. See you next episode.
Later.